TC Backer, TC Backer. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Baker.
And I'm Ty Backer.
Welcome to episode 65 of Behind the Tool Belt. We got a really special night. I know we've been pumping this night up for a couple weeks now, probably actually a couple months. As you guys can see, we got a lot of special guests tonight. Before we get into that, I do want to remind everyone, we have the York Home Show coming up May 9th through the 11th. That's going to be awesome. We're going to get into more details about that in the next couple weeks here. What else we got going on?
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff.
About,
we got all kinds of stuff going on. We got certified in solar last week with the help of Mark Jones and John Murphy here, which we'll get to introducing you guys later here. But I really want to talk about our partnership and our relationship that we have with you guys. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. That's why we're super excited to have you guys on the show tonight and just kind of like let people know who you guys are and kind of like how we got where we're at today and the super products that you guys introduce us to, the networking, the people that you've put in our lives to get us to where we are today, is very special to me. I know that for me, I was kind of nervous thinking about today. We've been waiting for today for a long time with this new product that I think you guys introduced to me about a year ago, and I'm like, I don't want no parts of it. But I wasn't really listening. I was hearing you, but I wasn't listening to what you were saying. So I'm sold today. I think it's a wonderful product. We're super excited to bring you guys on today, and like what you see here is because of you guys, because we did this because we knew you guys were coming. Right. You know what I mean? So like we actually swept the floor. You know what I mean? And cleaned up some of the cobwebs and whatever, emptied the trash cans and all that good stuff like that. But yeah, we got the York Home Show coming up. My mind's drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned the solar thing, man. We had GAF come in this past Friday, did a little training on the sales end of things, and introduce some of the products and the technical specifications of that, and I'm really excited about that, man. We're gonna crush that. Our salespeople are really excited about that. The new ventures that we're gonna be able to offer our customers, you know, that's gonna be really cool. So, and there's also some other stuff that we were let in on that isn't exactly out there yet that we're really excited about with the solar.
Yes.
So that's really a big thing.
Well, that's huge for you guys because within the matter of what, two months, less than 2 months, you become master elite with GAF, which is top 2% of roofers in the United States.
2%.
And now you've got the rights to do solar, which again is a very exclusive deal because not everybody gets that opportunity.
Right.
So you guys should be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you, man.
For both of those accomplishments.
Right.
And it just shows the work that you guys
And
put in.
again, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys rooting for us and pushing and all that good stuff. And the cool thing about the solar thing is it's been on the back burner for a minute. So we've actually had some customers and clients that have been waiting for us to become solar certified. So we already have things in the pipeline. GAF actually threw us a prospective lead today. So like it's moving quickly. You know what I mean? Commercial. The one job is a commercial job, residential, and we're super excited. We love the product. We love the way that it's installed. It's not like your everyday solar. It's actually a part of the roofing system. It's waterproof. It's flashed in like a skylight is the best way I can describe it. I love it. I just love everything about it. And then like Chris touched on just a little bit, we can't let the cat out of the bag, but there's other things to come with that too.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Industry-changing stuff, man.
Mind-blowing. Just like the Evolved Stone. We feel like this product is actually going to change the masonry industry. I think there's a lot of pros to it. I see very little cons to it. I just think it's a wonderful, awesome, kick-ass product. And like I was told that we would probably need a 3-hour episode to actually explain. So, you know, once we turn it over to Dom over here, we might be here for about 5 or 6 hours. Just kidding. I heard once this guy starts talking, you can't get him to shut up. But I'm okay with that. Just kidding, Dom. Just wanted to put you on the spot there for a sec. But.
Yeah, so maybe have these guys do some introductions to tell the audience who you guys are and what company you're from.
Just a refresher, I'm Mark with Myers. I met you guys a couple weeks ago. I was on the show. We did start pumping the Evolve thing as we were so excited for this opportunity this evening. So I brought some friends with me. I'll let them introduce themselves. But again, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
I'm Andy Bredesen, and I'm with Preferred Marketing Associates. Evolved Stone is one of the products that we represent in the Mid-Atlantic states, and I'm here to support Myers.
I'm John Murphy. I'm with USLBM, which is the parent company of Myers, and glad to be here and help Ty promote Evolved Stone.
Yeah.
I'm Dom Ryback. I'm with Evolved Stone. We are the manufacturer of this Evolved Stone veneer.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. We are super excited that you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
We've waited for a minute for you to get here, for the timing to be right.
Yeah.
And the anticipation is just freaking killing me. So what do you want to do? You want to tell us a little bit about it?
So, do you want to just jump into it and kind of go over the basics?
Try to do your 3-hour tour
in
about an hour and a half.
We can do that. So it's a composite veneer that you simply put up with a 16 gauge finish nail. Stainless steel finish nail is the way to go. If we're just going over the basics today, this might be a part 1 of 2. I can feel it already.
There you go.
But we're just going to go ahead and get started. I'll show you how to get simply started on a normal house that's framed in North America. This is kind of the deal. So here we have a mock-up wall. It's sheet 7/16 OSB. It's 2 sheets. It's 96 inches tall. We've got a Typar as our weather-resistant barrier. We require a Type 1, Type 2 weather-resistant barrier. This gets cap nailed off 32-inch centers, and then this is a rain screen. I think we had a scrap of it floating around, but this is an 1/8-inch rain screen available through your distributor, Evolved Stone distributor. 1/8-inch. You've got this hydrophobic fabric on the face of it, and the entangled mesh in the back of it. Did I have a little scrap of that? Oh, here we go. We'll show that to the cameras. So yeah, pretty basic, right? I mean, that's your Yeah, that's your material there, fabric, and then entangled mesh. Allows 1/8 inch allows it to drain and dry. So that's the basics. That's what you need to really get started.
Nice.
This is a dark color, which also has a benefit when we are putting the stones up. It's a dry stack stone, right? So you don't want to see any kind of reveal in between the stones, and the dark color of the rain screen allows us to do that. Chris or Ty, do you want to give me a hand putting a 2x4 up?
I have
So,
a couple questions for you.
sure, go ahead.
Okay. The more I thought about this, why wouldn't you want to use like ice and water on the wall?
Because the permeability of this is what we're used to using.
Okay.
Right? So this is probably between 12 and 15 perms. Correct me if I'm wrong,
12,
Andy.
yeah.
So that's kind of the sweet spot, and that's what they wanted to test, and that's what we've done per the ICC.
Okay.
They said, you know, this is the system that we're using.
So you need a breathable product, not only water like resistant, but or repellent, however you want to look at that, but breathable.
You need to allow most building envelopes and enclosures to be able to breathe, right? So
Yeah.
you got vapor. We'll address the bulk water, but then this is addressing also the vapor.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I guess the easiest way for me to understand this is in case moisture gets behind here, you want it to be able to allow it to dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like if you're cooking in your kitchen, you're creating all that
Condensation,
condensation.
moisture.
Us
Yeah.
standing here talking, breathing, right? Where's
Right.
that going? That's going to be drying to the outside in
Absolutely.
this application.
Okay.
Right? Generally, you've got bad insulation or
Right.
something in there.
So we wouldn't want to use felt buster. That's something that's like waterproof.
This is perfect enough. This is cost effective enough. This is what we've tested. This is what we have lab results on, and that's
Nice.
kind of what we've hit the market with.
Okay. One more question. I'm
Shoot.
sorry, and I'll let
No,
you
no,
go.
that's fine.
Well, you were talking about like a type 1, type 2. What does that mean?
So that has passed a certain ASTM rating, and we've actually posted these results on our resources page, Andy. That's kind of why I had
Nice.
that up. But that's the basic requirement that gives this system a 50-year warranty.
Oh,
is
50
a type
years. Wow.
is what has passed the type 1, type 2, an 1/8 inch rain screen, the evolved stone done with for exterior application with stainless steel
Right.
16 gauge nails.
Yeah.
That's what allows us to claim 50 years.
Dude, I got so many more questions, but I'll let you keep going.
I'm gonna go for
Hey,
I'm gonna go for a while.
I would say for the folks following at home,
Yeah.
what I heard was this stuff's been tested.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been tested,
Yeah.
and now we got it down to the point where we've got the best products that work with your product to give the homeowner the best.
The material's been around for a very, very long time. I've been testing this since 2013.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's been through the ringer.
We didn't just
Nice.
make this stuff.
No.
up.
I didn't just figure this all out last week. Correct.
Nice.
But yeah, if you don't mind giving me
Yeah.
a hand, I've got a laser line on that. We'll put that 2x4. Here's a good way to cheat when you want to start level around the house. I'll get this in. We're just gonna kiss that
Well,
line.
it's been a while since TC got down there.
That's right.
Don't let him fool you.
Kiss the line here.
Hey,
He wears the pool pass, right?
hey, man, listen. We do it on our knees.
Come down just a hair over there. And just, oh, there.
Helps if you have a straight board.
Shoo wee. Good luck with that.
That didn't come from John Evans, I can tell you that. Our Wall Street.
So here's just one way I get a cheating way to start, you know? So if you're doing a house and you got 4 sides of the house basically to do, pick a spot and start from there and make sure that you can do that level around the entire house. If you're doing a renovation and someone's got cedar shakes that are, you know, you just want to make sure that you're level all 4 sides around the house, you know. However you have to accomplish that is how you got to do it. If it's new construction, you've got the benefit of being able to do that however you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So basically, we've got 5 styles in 4 different colors. And the style that we're working with today is Capital Sky in Phantom Shadow. It's a mixture of now these are nominal dimensions, 2-inch to 4-inch heights of pieces. And the 2-inch piece has 3 lengths and the 4-inch piece does as well. So we'll just get right into it. I'll just start laying a couple pieces. If you want to just start talking to me while I'm
Sure, man.
doing it. Is OSHA going to come get me today?
No. No, but I've actually had them watch our Facebook
No kidding.
and
There you
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and jam me up. Yeah, it's awesome.
Safety first.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here, my nailing pattern here is I'm doing a minimum of 2 nails per stone. I keep, because I'm going through 7/16 OSB, we want to be out the back of the sheathing by 1/8 to 1/4 inch is what we're asking to be out the back of the sheathing.
So Don, where'd the nail go? Because it looks like it's not even
So
there.
the nail head, you can't see it.
There you go.
I-
That's what we wanted to know.
Yeah.
We can talk about the nail head disappearing all day. There's a lot of technical stuff involved with that, but basically, the speed at which the nail is perpendicular and intersecting the stone, it kind of emulsifies and then sinks behind it, and it's sunk just enough to where you can't even see it, and almost kind of welds back over the nail head. 16 gauge is what I've done all my testing on. It seems to be the best cosmetically as well as structurally for pull out and everything like that.
And that holds pretty well. It's not going to
That holds extremely well. If you look at our ASTM E330 ratings, which is the negative pressure test, I mean, I could tell that story for days. That one is nuts. We basically build these 4x8 wall assemblies, and they put it in a pressure chamber and try to suck the stone off the wall, right? And in the process of doing that, they wanted to test 16-inch center studs and 24-inch center studs. And the very first test that they did, the nails that were holding the sheathing to the studs, the plywood bowed out before any of the stones fell off. And the nails pulled out from the center stud all the way. 3.5-inch ring shank frame nail.
Right.
Came out all the way before any of the stones were able
That's
to fall.
impressive.
So basically,
That's
the
impressive.
plywood in a 4x8 standing this way bowed like that.
Wow.
And then they tried to make it harder for us to find a failure point. So they said, well, do 2x6 studs and double your nail pattern, and they put a gusset on the back and all this stuff. And then when they fired up the machine for that, it scared the snot out of everybody because the wall completely came off, and it actually separated at the stud vertically. It split the stud, the 2x6 stud, vertically, and it came and it smacked the the acrylic or the plexiglass that they have in that pressure chamber. It just smacked it, and everybody got nice and scared. But yeah, that stone is holding on.
Okay.
That stone is holding on.
And say for the folks at home, the people that watch the show, some are guys that are installers, but for the sake of the consumer, it's just safe to say stuff's not coming off.
Right.
Like it's nailed on. Again, it's been tested over and over and over again. So when you invest in this product for your home, rest assured it's not.
Right.
It's not coming off.
What's crazy is that's only 2 trim nails.
Yeah, that's it.
2 stainless steel. And what size are the trim nails?
I keep, and everyone, we get this question a lot. I keep 2-inch nails in the truck at all times. That typically is good for what I'm doing inside the house. The gun can hold up to 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
For the 16 gauge nail guns, most of them hold up to 2.5 inches. I haven't needed ever a 2.5 inch nail to go through my substrate yet.
Right.
But you might want to shorten them perhaps if you're going inside.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be structural, and you're going over still OSB or plywood sheathing inside, but you want to stay away from electrical or plumbing or whatever's in the wall.
Of course.
Then you could shorten them. The
Right.
stone thickness, just so
Yeah.
that we can kind of
I'm glad you're saying that because that was one more question that I saw on here that Chuck has. How thick is it?
So stone thickness varies between about a 1/4 of an inch to 1 1/4 inches.
Nice.
So it's an average of about 5/8 of an inch thick.
Okay. Average.
That's kind of what we're
5/8 of an inch.
5/8 of an inch thick is kind of what we're
Time.
doing.
We should point out that, every other stone veneer out there is called cultured stone. They're made of cement, right? And they're put up with mortar and lath. Here in this case, we got a stone that's made of a composite, a polymer, not made of cement. And then because of that, we can drive a nail through the face of it to attach to the wall. That's the big thing here that may not be obvious to the consumer.
Right.
We're talking about nailing stones to walls. That's
Right.
crazy. It's
It is.
unheard of, right?
Right.
But yet we're doing it with this assembly with the right building wrap, the right rain screen to drain and dry water that's going to go through the cladding.
Right.
And it's remarkable in everything about it. The building science part of this is extraordinary because we have a stone that's not going to absorb water
Exactly.
and hold it against your sheathing. And then you wonder about, is there rot happening back there?
Right.
Is there mold potentially growing back there? Our water never freezes behind there. It just dries and drains.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that part. And
Yeah.
the cool thing about this, I guess my first concern was when it was first introduced to me is when you go to cut it, was the color through and through.
Right.
So okay, so you touched on that it's basically what, 100% waterproof. Like this
Correct.
won't absorb water.
Correct.
Okay, what's the word for that?
Vapor and water impermeable.
Okay,
Moisture
so
impermeable.
it's 100% water
Impervious to water.
Yeah.
impervious to water, okay? And then when you cut it, it's color through and through, so it's not like it's like a veneer on this.
No.
This is like a solid piece of what, resin, I guess, for
Yeah.
lack of better
Yeah.
terms?
It's a polymer.
Polymer,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, a question that I actually have, when you cut this, and I'm just thinking on the hardy plank, you know, and anytime that you install a hardy plank and you have a cut edge, you have to paint that to seal it.
And how does that look at the end of the day? Yeah.
It doesn't look the best,
Yeah,
right? Is there anything that you have to do when you cut this?
There's
in order
nothing
to-
that we require, and there's some cool tips and tricks cosmetically that we'll get into. And the people back home, you probably have already pulled open the tab and you're looking at a Vaultstone website right now. You're 5-10 steps ahead of us right now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
We'll get to it.
Right.
But yeah, when we go over the cutting process, I'll highlight that, and it is a breeze. That's what honestly rocks the socks off people that are a little bit more cosmetically oriented and that want a higher end finish, and they don't want to have to worry about sealing. You know, they don't want to see aggregate when they come around the corner, or
Right.
they don't want to see, or they don't want to see a tiny little a chink of concrete that's never going to hold on to that mortar bed. It's never going to. If you go to some of these gas stations and things like convenience stores have all gone in that realm, and the stuff is just falling off.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like a pile just kind of swept back up against the wall, and they're like, oh, we're gonna figure that out. We'll
Yeah.
figure that one out later.
Yeah.
So we're not combating that cosmetically.
Right.
So for me that's a non-issue. In high visibility areas, I'm going to show you some tricks today that we can use to combat that. And just back to this nail, just back to that. I mean, we covered a lot just by doing that. That answered so many people's questions already.
Absolutely.
You don't know how many times we've been on the phone with architects, with engineers, with people that have PH in front of their name. You know what I mean? And we're like, no, it's a stone. And then you hold the gun, you have to depress the point, and then you shoot the nail through the stone. We've had to explain that ad nauseum to people that are smarter than me. So that's the fun part of it. That's a real fun part about the product is and once they get it, they're like, oh, is there a nailing flange? I'm like, get that nailing flange out of your head. There's no nailing flange, nothing like that. You hold, it's this easy. Hold stone, shoot stone, move on.
Yeah.
So
We got to make it more technical, man.
I know.
People
Well,
are gonna think it's way too easy.
that's why we spent all the money on this nice website, and our installation guideline is now 31 pages. So
Wow.
that's where it comes technical. It's that ezy, but then I got 31 pages to tell you how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep laying a couple up, but yeah, please feel free to. I'll just kind of keep moving. So I'll talk about this pattern real quick. In most of our patterns, it's the way I can easily put it is this is kind of a running down. So these are all dry stacked. It's a nice modern and clean look. You're not dealing with mortar, and they kind of run horizontally. The important thing to note on this pattern in particular is I'm going to break up vertical and horizontal seams when I feel it necessary. So cosmetically, I kind of know what I'm looking for. But you can see even on our sample here. Actually, I'll just jump to the chase real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna hold it up. For
Is that where you're headed?
Yeah, sorry.
So that's kind of what we're going for. You know, we're breaking up these vertical and horizontal seams every so often. to what's good and pleasing to the eye. If you've got a very big area that you're covering, you probably don't have to break them up as often. If it's a small concentrated area, you're going to have to break it up as often because the long runs of horizontal and vertical seams are going to be a little bit more obvious.
And I think that was one of the selling points for me for this product is you talked about some of the gas stations and such, and I noticed one in particular that I would drive up to, and I could always see where the course kind of stopped and started, and you could see the pattern. And it just, being in the industry, it kind of bugs me now because I pull up this specific
It
gas
makes
station.
you nuts.
Yeah. For like this, I couldn't do that because there is no, I mean, there's a pattern, but there's not a pattern,
Well, also, a lot of times what other products are doing is they're using it in a panelized form.
Right.
Which is good and bad because they're able to go quickly, but then once they have a transition and they have to hit a window or they have to hit a whatever, or if they have to turn a corner, that's where you're seeing that transition.
Yeah.
That nice panel, now they got to break out the wet saw or they have to pull out the grinders or they have to carefully, meticulously try to cut that thing and not expose aggregate and paint the edge and all those things. Yes, this is loose stone, but you'll see in a minute, goes up rather quickly.
Yeah, good.
So I'll nail a couple on and feel free to jump in as I'm nailing. I don't know if they can hear us over the sound of the nail gun as to what we're doing.
Is there any strategy as to where you're placing those nails on the stone?
Yeah, so I'm going, I think we have a nail pattern diagram. I think it's at least an inch in on the corners here that you want to put it. I'm putting it in some of the higher parts so that I bite a lot of the meat of the rock. Once you've nailed a couple of these up, you naturally feel where to put them.
Gotcha.
You don't have to be so meticulous as here's the valley. If I put the nail there, it'll be down in the valley and it won't be seen. It kind of doesn't matter because you're not going to see it anyways. But yeah, you want to be inside of we have that nail pattern spec'd out in our installation guidelines.
Gotcha.
So yes, it does actually matter. The engineers
Great question.
doing our ICC evaluation service said this is where our nails have to be. I'm putting 2 in on this style, 2 nails per basically every stone that we have. If you feel a little bit of give or wobble or something like that, you can load it up. I mean, that one's going to be hard to come off, but you're not seeing the nail heads, and it's that one's going to be a little tough to get off.
But it's also
Yeah.
not necessary. You just need
It's
a few
also
nails.
unnecessary,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But you're not going to hurt the rock by loading it up with a few more nails.
Yeah.
Hey, excuse me, Ty. So I would just add that, one of the reasons you don't see the nail heads, right? Is yes, because he's sinking them just below flush.
Right.
But every stone that we make is made of a mold of a stone that we bought in the market.
Okay.
So we bought stones that we like the shape and look of. We took a silicone mold of every one of those stones. And then when we put our material, our polymer into that mold, it picks up the exact surface texture and topography of that stone. It's not some artist or architect's idea of what stones should look like that we want to make.
Right.
These are stones purchased in the market. We made a silicone mold of them. And then to address what Mark was talking about on the pattern, there is no pattern. We have a pattern that's designed, but there's no repeating pattern.
Right.
And the reason there's not is because in every one of those 5 patterns is 100 square feet of different stone. So you couldn't try to repeat the pattern. It would be awful, awful difficult.
Yeah.
So when you talk about panelized products, every 3 or 4 feet you got it in. It looks very similar. You can pick it out.
Yeah.
Here you couldn't try to make a repeating pattern because of how the stone's made, how it's applied, and that every one is made and cast from a real stone.
That's amazing. I'd like to now, can people take a tour of the plant? Because I know companies like GAF have tours that you can do, and is
So
that
right now
possible?
it's not something that's done typically because the material is so proprietary. We got to keep that a secret.
Oh, okay.
Under certain conditions it could be done. John hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
If it was something that was planned in the future, I mean, we could do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, cool.
That might be
Like
something.
Bush's baked beans. Like,
Yeah, well, that's what it sounded like to me. Like it's a secret. No, but I can appreciate that. And So where did they come up with the idea at? Like,
Great question.
So
Where did it
the
come
owner of
from?
the company bought what was the existing company back in 2012. It's out of Massachusetts, and it was called Createch Inc.
Okay.
Createk Inc. You could go to the Createch Inc. website today,
Mm-hmm.
and you would see it, and it says on their homepage, we build synthetic rock. They build fake rocks.
Okay.
So a couple points come up when you asked me that. This material's been out for over 25 years. This
Right.
is not a new material. It's a new company called Evolve Stone and a new product with stone, but the material's not new.
Okay.
So you could go into Bass Pro or Cabela's or Dick's Sporting Goods or numerous other places and see a fake wall, a fake tree. That's this material.
Okay.
So it's all over the place and it's been used commercially. Now this is the first time that the owner, company out of Annapolis that bought it, and made this into a cladding, said we're going to make this into a stone cladding. I mean, this was the vision from 7 years ago.
Right.
So that's the Fritz family, and Greg Fritz runs the factory, and he and Dom have developed this over the last 8 years. We launched it in the fall of 2019, and it took 7 years to get all those ASTM testing, to build the equipment to make it,
Wow.
to put the colors and patterns together, and then to get the ICC approval, which we got in the spring of 2020.
Wow. So where's the plant located? Is it
It's in
relatively?
Winchester, Virginia.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's relatively local.
It's
Okay.
local, yes.
Right down to
Yep.
D1.
Right. Now, I'm going to pop a question on you. Is it 100% USA made?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot
No,
like that,
no,
but
it's
I wanted to see your reaction. But
Sure.
that's awesome. Right there. That I mean, okay. Now the other $1 million question is, what's the lead time on it? Because I know there's other products out there right now that's on the market that we got to wait months. Like our windows right now can be anywhere from 1 month to 3 months to get windows. So what's the lead time on something like
Sure.
this?
So we don't have any supply chain issues which so many companies are experiencing through 2020 and COVID. We're making it in Winchester, Virginia. Universal Supply stocks it, and what they don't stock, if you get they get a special order that they don't stock, we make it usually within 7 days and ship it to them. So if you have a job lot order of a pattern or color that they don't stock, we can get it to them fast.
Awesome.
You're probably
Okay.
getting it faster than you are your pressure treated stuff today.
That's awesome.
That is
That's
good.
great to
High
know.
point.
So any builders, local builders, homeowners, anyone who's interested in this, you're not going to have to wait 6 months to get this.
No lead time issue.
No lead time issues whatsoever. So if you were contemplating on getting stone or you're waiting on stone, we can probably get this quicker than if you already ordered your stone 3 weeks ago.
And you mentioned the time, so you're getting the product in a timely fashion, and I think you guys were mentioning the website. So one of the things, the awesome things was to watch is the time lapse video. Even in the time we've been talking here, look how many stones he put up on the wall
Right.
already. So
Amazing.
for
Are you guys
the,
able to hear over the shooting? Yep. You are.
for the builder that has masons out there right now, that today they might not be working, but there's also a day they got to take a day to do their scratch,
Yeah.
test or whatever, do all that. You're done that wall in 1 day.
Right.
Where they're coming back, at least a 2-day process.
Exactly.
So the timing of it is just phenomenal.
Right. So with us being like roofing, siding, and knowing, having general carpentry skills, this is definitely something that we can install. That's what I like about it.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
we as installers ourselves of party plank, vinyl siding. I dig the idea that there's really no pattern to it, so it's not like actually being a mason. I think some of the reason why it takes so long to get the stone on is because you're looking, it's like a puzzle that
Right.
they're trying to put together, unless you've done it for a long time. But I don't know if you've ever done any kind of masonry before, but it's a pain in the butt.
Yep.
There's the time lapse video there was showing it. Man, it was like it was what 2 hours to do a wall by
There you go.
probably a little bit bigger than that, 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, someone who's got a little bit of experience with a certain style can shave that honestly in half.
Yeah.
But that time lapse was done, and we were kind of being very, very honest about that because
Yeah.
that was their first time touching it.
And
Yeah.
Ty, I imagine a lot of situations, even with a homeowner,
Mm-hmm.
they probably would like the idea of having that down on the bottom 3 feet of their house there,
Yeah.
but they didn't think you as a siding contractor could or would even want to do that.
Right.
And maybe
Yeah.
you didn't want to do that because now you're dependent upon another source of labor instead of the labor within yourself. Now you can do that.
Yeah,
So
that's a great
this
point.
is great for the homeowner, for you guys in the remodeling situation, and in a new construction situation.
Yeah,
I got a
you
question.
can run that stone The same siding crew is going to run the stone. They'll pop the sill metal on there, and then just start running siding panels right above that. There's no tear down and setup required for your stuff. It's one day you continuously go.
When you're R&R stuff, if they do financing, this is something that another part of that financing package that you can bundle right up into their project versus them having to get another approval for another part of the project or something like that. You got a one-stop shop.
Now, can someone put this like on the interior of their house?
I was going to bring that up. I didn't know when we wanted to bring it in, but this is for exterior or interior.
Okay.
So absolutely it can be for interior, for that feature wall, for the kitchen island, for the fireplace, right? Any one of those scenarios, backsplash.
Okay, great
And you'll
idea.
see we just added a photo gallery to the website with numerous different photos for ideas for anyone to look at. So when you talk about inside though, the question is, what are you going to do? Say it's an existing sheetrock wall. You could paint that wall dark, because again, like Dom said, we want to have a dark surface behind it because we're dry stacking stone. If you do that, then you can use an adhesive to attach it to the sheetrock, okay?
Okay.
If you don't want to use an adhesive process, maybe because it's going to take longer, you could put 7/16 OSB over that wall, put up some felt paper, or paint it again to get it dark, and then you could nail it up just like what Dom's doing now, but you don't need stainless steel nails. You don't need a rain screen or a weather-resistant barrier. Okay, you're just because you're not having the weather. So yes, it can be. It's a great product for inside as well as outside.
Right.
And there's a Class B fire rating for those interior applications as well.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to piggyback on the OSB. It's faster to nail this product up than it is to use adhesive. So we're cranking out as much content as we can. I just finished doing a video with some guys down in the Carolinas. And then we just did a video on an accent wall. So you're going to see two interior applications. You're going to see a fireplace being done. That's the one down in the Carolinas. And then you're going to see an accent wall being done in a stairwell. And in both cases, OSB was used and painted black because that is what we've determined is the fastest and until lumber went through the roof, most cost-effective way to do it. And I still think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Awesome.
what, and we have been creating a lot of content. So, we do have Instagram, we do have YouTube, we do have Facebook. Those are all good places to find us. And we're updating the gallery, we're updating, tips and pro tips and tricks. We're updating these. Now that I'm here, I've been even more persuaded to build my own little studio for my own little quick videos. Oh, someone has a question. Well, go ahead. Let's fire it up. Let's go ahead and make a video about that because that's the 15th time I've heard that question this week. So let's go ahead and address it.
Yeah, man.
So
That's
we'll do.
awesome.
We'll now that I see this, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely need to do something like that.
Yeah. So
Or I'll come back and do it with you guys.
right on.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to
Awesome.
come back anytime. And we can zoom you in, so you don't even have to come back. You know what I mean? If you get
Zoom
your
from
little
his studio to your studio.
Yeah.
so that's what I was gonna say. Once you get your studio up and running, man, we can
That would
we'll
be
zoom
slick.
you right in.
That would be slick.
Now, I heard you mention something about fire rating on the inside. It has to be fire rated on the inside?
So residential, so you got to go with your code, and then these guys know about a lot of that because you sell a bunch of products that are
A
used
lot of it,
interior.
like if it was on a fireplace area, it would be around that immediate firebox area. Am I correct in saying that? I mean, but to me, I would just be safe and do it over a long
Yeah, we
The
recommend.
fire rated product is probably like 10 to 15% more than the standard product.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't worry about it. Anywhere where there's a chance of fire, I would go
Okay.
with the fire rated product.
All right, so now what if we wanted to use it for like a backsplash and you're close to a receptacle? Like a GFI or something along, the sink area?
I would consider two things. One, still, we're recommending anything interior residential. Just go ahead and make it out of fire rated. We are pushing in our research and development like crazy. I'm actually one of the guys leading a lot of that, and we are pushing right now hard to get everything to just be one Class B fire rating. Just make all of it that.
Right.
And that's going to come with automation and being able to drive our production costs down. So once
That makes sense.
once we hit that kind of aggregate, we can make that cost effective. Guess what? Everything's Class B. Put it wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for inside the firebox or on the hearth.
Right. So if you had to put it on around a fireplace, now would you recommend like hardy backer first?
So there's a lot of back and forth on this. You'll hear inspectors say one thing, but the code will say something else, and then the manufacturer of the fireplace will say something else too. So you got to find out. Ultimately, the inspector is going to tell you what to do, right?
Okay.
So if you know this is projects coming up ahead of time, you can talk to your inspector. Say, hey, I got a Class B fire rating. Here's my opening. You know, a lot of these trim kits now are inclusive of and aware of following code. So they'll have a 3-inch non-combustible trim around it, and then you can come up to that.
it. Yes.
You know, but
Right.
you got to pay attention. We're going to say, pay attention to your code, and then guess who has the last word? The inspector.
Yes.
And that sometimes they might say something that might make sense to you.
Right.
Or sometimes they might say something that doesn't make any sense,
Right.
and you go, but guess what? That's another reason that we just say, guess what? You can sleep at night if you just put Class B
Right.
inside.
Right. So and it depends upon like the county or township that you're in too.
Always does.
Yeah.
Always does.
Right.
And things can be, you know, a little funny, you know, wherever you go. And that's
Gotcha.
just how building.
I have
I've-
one.
I've heard
Yeah.
a builder that uses our product down in Virginia Beach say, because I asked him about how did you determine if this wall was, you needed fire rated or not. It was around a fireplace, so I figured he did, but he said, look, it depends on so many things. The county code, where the mantle is, how close is the fireplace to the patio door. All these different things come into play. So it's not for us to tell them. If somebody asks us, we always want to say, it's a good rule of thumb. If it's interior, like Tom said, use fire rated.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different things that come into play. The builder, right, in this case you, if you're the installer, needs to know the code for that
Yeah.
application.
Right.
And-
Yeah, those are definitely things we're gonna have
And
to
there's
sharpen
also
up
like
on.
an imaginary line that comes off of that firebox, right? Like that. If my firebox is angled, let's call it 45.
Yep.
That imaginary line, the inspector's going to say, you can't have a bookshelf and case over here, you know, intersecting that line at these inch increments and all that stuff.
Right.
Those guys are, it's their job and they're professionals. They need to know their application and what they're responsible for.
And
Nice.
Ty, I would imagine if you were doing this in an interior application, you would probably have that guy maybe doing some trim work. That same guy doing the trim work could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Now you're not,
Again, it
now
sounds
you're not mixing
special.
mud
Using
in
the
the,
same
in
tool.
the
Using the
almost
same tool,
finished
right.
house. You're not
Right.
bringing in, you're not
The
having to
mess.
mix up mud and put a wire lath and do the scratch
Yeah,
coat and,
I've seen that.
and
And
just
it takes
drop,
days.
and you know, getting mortar on the brand new windows. All
Exactly.
of it. All of it.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to circle back to the exterior again. When I was talking about the GFI receptacle,
Yeah.
a question popped in my head. Do you have light blocks?
So this is a cool part, and this is probably where we start to incorporate some of that cutting and workability of the product. We have, as far as accessories go, we have a sill, 20-inch sill piece.
Yep.
And then we have outside corners for every style. Every style will have its own corners that you can buy manufactured.
Yeah.
You can also create any corner that you want. You can create a mitered corner or you can do a butt joint. Both
Nice.
look good. It depends on the cosmetic that you're trying to go for.
Can you
Do you want to show that to the camera?
Yeah, I was going to say,
You know what they are? I'll point them out. So here we have a manufactured corner. This is actually a miter. I had to look for it. There's another manufactured corner. There's a butt joint, and there's another miter. So those are some options as far as the corners are concerned.
The interesting thing is it took you a lot to figure out which was which.
I had to look at that.
And they
one.
were that good. That's because they're
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah, they're good. They're tight.
Any option there is going to give you a nice clean
right.
corner.
Yeah.
Without,
But-
without the manufactured one's probably, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
do that.
But here's the thing. I made that little mock-up. I made that box, and I made sure it was 90 because that makes my life easy because I don't have to think. I can slap the miter saw over to 45, not close my eyes, but like without a task,
Are you
without
saying
thinking.
that framers don't always build straight?
I'm
walls? Is
saying
that what you're
someone doesn't build stuff in square. That's all I'm saying. So you have that option. So that's talking about the corners. This is more talking about those blocks and everything like that.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can just cut them and make them on site.
Good thinking.
You know,
and if you have any type of carpentry skills, you
yeah,
can
if you
handle
got
that.
any, so say I got a high spot here,
Yep.
and my light block needs to be touching that. I can take a grinder with a flapper wheel, knock that fuzzy that down a little bit,
Nice.
and you're flush.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and send
Color
your
through and
block
through.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you show us how to make an outside corner? Like whenever you get to a spot where you feel comfortable
Sure,
enough
we
to do
can,
that.
we can address that now. We can address that now. Let's go ahead and address the workability and some of these corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and make an outside corner, shall we?
Yes.
So say I've run all the way over to here. Oh, and this is kind of important to mention too. I don't know if we're seeing that on screen. But the rain screen
Yeah, you're
needs
on
to
there.
be relieved at the corners so that it doesn't tent. So you're actually cutting your rain screen at the corner. You're wrapping your weather-resistant barrier, but you're actually relieving and cutting your rain screen so that's not pushing up on the stone or doing anything funny. So here's a real easy way to make a miter corner.
And just so you guys know, he's using a regular miter saw over there. What kind of blade are you using on that? How many teeth?
So, 1, 2. No. This is just a regular framing blade for a circular saw. This is a 6.5 or 7 1/4 blade.
So your guys aren't packing
24
any
teeth.
extra tools.
Yeah.
24 teeth. This is general purpose blade. Last time you saw me, I had this, and I've been making cuts ever since.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So I'm just knocking this over to 45 because I
That's
know
pretty
these guys
cost
cut it
effective
well.
too, man. 'Cause
Oh,
once you get
perfect.
up in those 120s, those 80s, you know, they're expensive. Those blades are expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if this is being able to see it on camera, but here's
You're good.
here's a miter cut. My saw is at 45 because these guys built this wall perfectly, and we'll send this in.
Look
So
at
there's
that.
Very little dust.
there's the first half of it.
Yeah.
All right.
No cellulose, so you're not
Yeah.
worrying about any kind of respirators
Yep.
or anything like that.
Well,
Nice.
you know, if you're
That's a good
cutting
point.
all day, we
Never
do
thought of
recommend
that.
you're wearing a dust mask.
Yeah, dust mask, but you're not going like a hardy type situation.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So there's my scrap material. All right. And there's my miter.
I don't want to pick on Hardy, but even the stone guys, if
seen that?
it is anything cement product, you would want to protect
Yeah,
yourself
absolutely.
even more. So.
Yeah, you got to have a HIPAA filter or something in your mask
love
to
it.
prevent the silica dust.
Chris, have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean it's
Perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's
So
perfect.
that's perfect.
I
So-
think I like the way that looks opposed to the manufactured corner.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think it looks cleaner.
You know what? And it doesn't hurt my feelings either way. Because guess what? Someone might get those corners on their first job and go, we're not good enough to build the wall square.
Right.
Take these corners and do something with them.
Right.
We'll just make our own corners. And you can start at the corner. The corner is going to involve some cutting, right? So that's going to be the hard part of your day. You can start in your corner and move your way out from there. So that's not a bad place to do it.
Right.
So yeah, that is a miter corner. Talking about those accessories and you don't necessarily need them because you can cut anything however you need it to be. The reason that they have those accessories is so that you don't have a miserable time when you get to that point in the job. For us, it's not a miserable time to say, hey, cut the thing like that. I need it cut here and here.
Yeah.
You know, I
Let's
need,
pretend like there's a hose bib or something like that.
Yeah.
I know
Oh.
you showed us that on your last demo.
Did I?
That
The
I
hose
got to
bib?
see. Yeah, it was.
all right, so
yeah.
say you come around to your hose bib. So your hose bib's out already, right? So it's not like you're retrofitting a hose bib,
Right.
although you could do that easily
Yeah.
too. Hose bib's out, and it's the line is going to be requiring. I guess I got an 1 1/4 hole saw here. Not a very tricky thing to do. I'm going to do it a little off center to accentuate it. That's how easily that cuts.
Wow.
Or hole saws, or however you want to.
Is that cool?
So you haven't seen that yet?
No.
They-
That's pretty slick, right?
No, I
That's a
love
good
that.
one. So there you go. Perfect hole saw. That took me 2 seconds. I didn't need a special carbide. I didn't need a special concrete masonry bit that cost you $80. I didn't need anything special.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just a regular hole saw.
It's regular
Yeah, it
hole
was.
saw. And then what I
Yeah.
would do, is if I have to go around that, and you guys will like this too.
Perfect.
So if I'm coming out here, I can
That'll come in big in your retrofit.
And like you
my
said,
goodness,
if you
yeah.
have to knock anything down to
And
get
if
it
you have
flush,
to knock anything down to where that fastens, and you can run some screws through here, no problem.
Okay.
And you don't have to necessarily pre-drill. It might be, some guys feel more comfortable because, you know, they don't know what's going on in the back. They want to go ahead and pre-drill. You can pre-drill that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to if you get a regular fluted screw.
Right.
I mean, I run drywall screws. I run all kind of cool stuff through here
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
regular basis.
Now, what about like flashing that? You know, would we have to flash it, or
Okay.
because of all the preparation
So,
work?
It depends. So that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. I have found that siding guys are going to flash it anyways.
Right.
People are used to seeing the copper flashing or a white
Z-bend. Yeah.
Z-bend
Yeah.
somewhere. They're just used to seeing it. And guess who else is used to seeing it? Inspectors and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. What people don't understand is if you've got this system going the entirety of the wall,
wall.
and you're enclosed and all your control layers are continuous throughout the entire building envelope, what are you flashing?
Right.
Guess what? Water gets behind my vinyl siding that comes to meet this. If this is here, what are you flashing?
Exactly.
But it's a decent looking detail, and if it doesn't take the guys a million, if it's not costing you a ton, and they're quick at, you know, you see some of these guys that can, before you tell them what to break, they're already coming up the hill with it, and they've already
Had it bent.
got it bent.
Yeah.
I have found what works well with this thickness of stone, actually with the thickness of sill, I take it back,
Okay.
is 1 inch by 3/4 with a hem.
Okay.
That sticks on the wall and flexes well with our little sill. So I'll show this here in a
Awesome.
second too. So if they've got a flashing, it comes down. I'm saying 1 by 3/4 seems to sit on that with enough flex because this is an uneven surface, right? It's high here, it dips down a little low here, whatever. It's a sill that's been molded off of natural stone.
Right.
So what are you going to do? If they break that flashing, they can have it give a little bit in places it needs to give a little bit, and it can sit where it doesn't need to.
Right.
And it's not doing anything.
No.
If this is running.
Exactly.
If that doesn't run the entire length of the wall, then yeah, you're going to want to tie it into your the rest of your building envelope.
Right.
That would be your control layer for bulk water. You have to tie it into this. You have to then counter flash it to whatever's handling your bulk water.
Exactly.
So I guess that's the best way I can answer that
No,
question.
you answered it, definitely. So basically, you don't need it. You don't need the
If
flashing.
you're doing new construction and you go run this the whole length of the wall or whatever,
Right.
then what are you, my question is, what are you flashing?
Exactly.
You know, if you
Yeah.
go, I don't feel like running this all the way behind my, if it's vinyl, if it's
Right.
hardy, if it's whatever, I don't feel like running
Right.
that back behind there.
Right.
Well, then guess what? Go ahead and flash
So
it.
to just make something clear, though, I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking, like, so of course, if we're going around like doors and garage doors, entry doors and windows and stuff like that, we would, as siding guys, would still want to flash like we typically flash above the garage door or a side entry door, because water is behind this, but we need the flashing so it doesn't go into the
Yeah,
door
you don't
sill.
want, if
The
you're,
other products.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
don't
if
worry
you-
about that product.
Right.
if you've got a garage door and it's trimmed out and it's PVC and it's stealth and it runs all the way around, yeah, you're going to want a head flashing on that because you don't want it perched on the head of that trim,
Right.
and then sucking back into the house over time, building up hydrostatic pressure. I mean, this is going to help a lot with all of that. But guess what? You still don't want water perched anywhere.
Right.
So yeah, continue to do your flashing as normal.
Okay.
This is just an added bonus of using that. But yeah, I'm telling you now, 9 times out of 10, when I tell somebody, hey, guess what? You don't need to flash that. They go, okay,
Yeah.
I'm still going to flash it.
Right, it just doesn't feel right not to
that's
flash
just-
it.
That's just what happens.
Right.
I've been out a million times where guys are, before you can tell them not to flash it, they're out there breaking. I can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're getting the breakdown. They're putting it on sawhorses. I'm like, these guys are going to do flashing. They are going to.
Yeah.
And guess what? It doesn't look that.
Right.
So
Cool.
yeah, so you can continue to flash as necessary. I kind of wanted to. You're talking about going over garage and going into trim and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys got to see this earlier. I'll show the folks here in a minute, but here's a detail of how I'm butting up into trim.
Okay.
I'll show you that real quick. So I left it off the. So expansion and contraction of this is less than 1%.
Okay.
It might be less than 0.5%. And we're not worried about this expanding and contracting too much. But guess what? All the manufacturers of windows and doors and trim, they are worried about expansion and contraction.
They are, yes.
And normally it's in that direction for long stock.
Yeah.
But guess what? We want to give them a tolerance. And a lot of the manufacturers of those products will tell you, hey, give us a hold off of an eighth to a quarter or whatever it is for caulking.
Right.
So you could choose to caulk that or not.
Okay.
Because guess what I have behind it? That.
Your
And
rain
guess what?
screen and your house wrap.
Your caulking, Pookie material is never a waterproofing material.
Right.
No matter how elastomeric it is,
Right.
I don't care if it's a 50, 100, 1,000-year caulk. It's eventually it's going to pull away from
Right.
something and you're going to have a gap. And this is an open cladding system.
That's what I was saying. What you're going to end up doing is keeping the water back there.
Yeah.
You want it to come out.
Yeah.
So
So
by
if you
caulking it,
if you
you're
can see in there,
defeating
I
the
actually held
purpose.
the whole stone off of it.
Yeah,
and that's
that's
easy
awesome.
to do. All that is a chop saw or a table saw and a little multi-tool.
Yep.
So I'll show that. I don't know if we can see this detail.
Oh, and you know,
It might
you
be
don't
worth
want to add
showing.
expense where you don't have to.
Right.
So
we got-
caulk's not cheap.
Holding that
All
off.
this stuff adds up. So this is
See
just another
down
way
profile of
to
it.
save the homeowner
That's
money when it comes to using a product like that versus, you know.
So Dom, I'm sorry. So in a lot of remodeling situations, they're gonna have that situation at the bottom part of the house where they're going from one area to maybe a foundation concrete area. What do you do in that type of
I
application?
just tell them to figure it out. No, I've become a transition specialist is what I've become. So if in a perfect world everything's plain, right? They held off the plate, the thickness of the sheathing, and it's coplanar to the foundation. And so water and siding materials and everything else goes all in one plane. That doesn't happen in a perfect world. So what they'll have to do is some kind of a transition. I think we were speaking about it, we might have spoken about it last time we saw each other, was we make a sill. So that's a good way to do a transition because the sill can screw through the face to the framing. But however they terminate from framing to foundation, whether that's another flashing or however they do that, they have fluid applied that people are using today. They've got great fluid applied products for going between the foundation and the wall sheathing. They've also got great peel and stick stuff.
Yep.
Or a combination of two. You know, they'll put a peel and stick and then they'll run a liquid flash to terminate the edge of that peel and stick.
Right.
So that it doesn't ever crinkle or fish lip. You know, say the job is going to be held up for 3 months. You don't want that stuff exposed or whatever the lifespan, you know, pay attention to the lifespans of those, you know, butyl-backed flashings or even the liquid flashings and everything. A lot of that stuff may or may not have UV properties to it. But anyways, they figure out how to, you know, have the continuous waterproofing between the foundation and the sheathing, whether it's coplanar or proud or not. Then we have the ability to, with two products. I mean, I might just show the adhesive version of it real quickly. So here's an adhesive called Trem Grip. This is the one that we have lab results on. It works in conjunction over masonry. It works really, really well with primer called Vulcan 171 primer. That's what we're recommending. They prime the back of the stone with, as well as the foundation, what they're going over. So I brought a little sample of that detail. So you're doing vertical beads. You'll find this on page 31 for those playing at home. You'll find that on page 31 of our installation guidelines. And those vertical beads are on the backs of the stone. I think we call out 4 to 6 inches. The vertical beads are on the backs of the stone, and we require that those beads provide an 1/8 inch gap. I don't know if you can see daylight through my gaps there. You probably can't.
Yeah, you can see it.
Can you see it? You got it? So that's what you're looking for. I cut the tube of caulk down pretty well. I'm going for about a 1/2 inch bead. 1/2 inch bead, maybe 5/8 bead. That seems to be the amount of caulk that you can bead on there. You can really kind of pillow it up on the stone and then stick it to it. But yeah, so the primer, and we've got the technical data sheet on the primer on our website. We've got the technical data sheet of the adhesive on the website. If you follow their guidelines, you'll be in pretty good shape. So I only do maybe 1 box or 2 boxes at a time when I'm going over a foundation. That gives me working time for the primer. The primer needs to set up. It needs to tack up, but not be totally cured. If it's totally cured, it has a glossy sheen, and then it's not doing its job. It wants to be just a little bit tacky enough to where it's not coming off on your finger, and then you go. I generally set like 2 sawhorses and a piece of plywood behind me. I flip all my stones in the pattern that I'm about to put them on the wall. I brush the primer on the stone, I brush the primer on the wall, and then I feel like a bada bing, bada boom was, it was coming right there. But then you put your caulking beads on the stone vertically, and then bam, you go to your foundation. I do a box or 2 at a time if you got a crew of 3 guys.
Something I remember from my first demo with this is, you know, you have the water table with the rain screen. Someone might say, oh, well, you need to put a rain screen on the foundation. You don't, because the caulking creates your drainage.
Right.
So you're eliminating that step on there. And I've kind of been like I just see this as a big feature. And we talked about this, like a lot of people spent a lot of time at home last year, and probably a little bit more this year. So you're building that outdoor oasis or whatever you want to have now because you're spending a lot of time at home. And you have the ugly walkout basement, you know, exterior, you know, concrete walls. You take something like that and really dress it up and really turn it in. You know, if you have a patio out there, or you have a deck out there.
Right.
I mean, again, you can. There's so many great opportunities to use this product. And,
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sold on it, man. I love it. I like how it's installed. I like the team behind it that, you know, like you basically just, I don't want to say sit around all day and do research and development on this stuff, but like I can tell, yeah, right. I can tell you're into it. Like you're trying to find the pros and you're trying to find the cons.
Coursing through my veins, Bubba.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I can't find any cons with it. Like, really, seriously, and I'm pretty critical of products.
Well, I'll tell you, the con is going up over foundation is going to slow you down a little bit. Yeah. I mean, here's the detail. So here's my piece. I'm holding it horizontally. I'm doing a bead here vertically. That's a hefty bead there, and I'm doing another bead here. So that would be my detail. So pretend, you know, out there in YouTube land, that this is our prime stone. This is the back of our prime stone. Now this is just going to go right up over our primed. This is a mock-up of a cementitious material. You put it here, and you get it to where you've got an 1/8 inch gap. If you've got a question if you have an 1/8 inch gap or not, you can take a shim, cut it off at 1/8 of an inch, and tuck it behind there and make sure you're pretty good. Or you can mark the line at where you're at 1/8 of an inch. But yes, as Mr. Jones was saying, we have, by doing that glue up method, the whole method here is to have continuous control layers. So if you've got an 1/8 inch gap here, and you want that all around the house, how are you going to maintain that? Well, we just did that by producing that gap there. So that allows this 1/8 inch gap to continue to the 1/8 inch gap below it on the foundation. That's what we're going for, if that makes sense to everyone.
Definitely. No,
So
great.
that's kind of how we address the foundation work. So there's your con.
And
Sometimes doing adhesive sucks.
Let me add
Right.
to one, there's a lot of products, like a real stone product, masonry product, that can't go into the ground. You can go in the ground with this.
Yeah, we don't care about water. I mean, this stuff was used to make aquariums for years. And
Wow.
everything, I mean, it's outside. If you look at the Createch website, you can see the stuff. I spent a good part of 2017 doing a 67-foot tall monster climbing tower down in Trinidad on the water. So you're talking about salt. You're talking about the most UV I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
You know?
I bet.
And it was just, it was a fantastic product. And it was the only product that they could find in that application. There was nothing else that could work. You know,
Yeah.
the concrete was going to be way too heavy. for the structure that they were trying to build. They couldn't do it.
Yeah,
They
being
couldn't-
able to go into the ground is a big advantage. Ty and I met with a builder about a month ago, and they were using like an environmental stone, a lick and stick type product that can't do that.
Can't touch
And they had that ugly thing at the bottom he was talking about.
Yeah.
He just
The
he-
wheat.
yeah, the wheat thing.
Yeah.
They needed a wheat, and you don't need that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's another detail, and this might be a little bit too technical and a little bit too nerdy for everyone out there in Facebook land, but we have, you have the ability, what's to stop you from putting some furring strips on the foundation and then sheathing that with the OSB and then continuing this system down toward the ground, and then on that last layer you could put, contact, something that's good to contact the ground, that's that you can still put the stone over. Maybe the bottom part you use cement panels, the bottom, whatever they're requiring, if that's a foot, if that's 18 inches. Instead of gluing 4 feet and then once I get to the walkout basement, 12 feet,
Right.
instead of gluing all of that, I can do the furring strips and have another new detail. Hey, there's a transition here.
Right.
Like we were talking the transitions between the sheeting and the foundation. Hey, there's a transition here, whether that be a big piece of PVC that's skirting around the house, whatever it is. Now you're going to the foundation, you fur it out, tap con it to the wall, and then you get to shoot nails again.
Right.
And you're happy because you're moving.
Yeah.
As long as this and this continue down and out, you're going to be good. But yeah,
Right.
don't make contact with the OSB to the ground. But yeah, water does not bother that material. It floats in water. You can't even get it to sink.
There you go, man.
Right.
Sky's the limit.
That's awesome.
So on a new house,
so awesome.
okay?
Yeah.
So what if they want, like on the front of the house, the where the foundation is, you got your bottom plate and then the sheeting, okay? So how do you start that? Like, do you need to leave the stone hang down past, like onto, like
It
a half
depends.
inch past the
It depends.
foundation?
If you're making that transition, right, you're going to have a couple pieces of stone that are half in one world and half in the other. If it's coplanar, if it's not coplanar, then you have to do a transition like we're talking about.
Okay.
Take a sill detail, take a flashing detail, take a trim detail,
Okay.
and separate it.
Right.
If you're not coplanar.
Right, because like siding, you have a starter strip that we hang down onto the
This is
foundation.
my siding strip. This is my starter strip.
Okay.
It's a block of 2x4.
Okay, so if we would, so technically we would have to use a 2x4 or
No,
something?
I'm not saying that you have to. This is just my cheater strip to get
Right.
me going, started level, and keep staying level.
Something
on my
easy to
way.
butt
So
your
we
stone
don't have
against.
to hang it down past the foundation a little bit?
You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to,
All
but
right.
you want to cover this and this.
Right, of course.
So yeah, if you map it out. So I also use. We can refer to this. If we're getting a little technical, we can refer to this. What did we call this earlier? Someone called it a dead man. Who said that? It's a story pole. So here's a couple of courses that fit in between here and here. So it's just a layout stick, and I use that to strike either shoot my laser line or strike my chalk lines to get me started. I can strike a chalk line to ensure that I hang over
Right.
the bottom of the. If this piece is 4 inches,
Right.
I'll strike my chalk line at 3 3/4 so
Gotcha.
that it's hanging over
Okay.
a 1/4 of an inch.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was curious. So if we went to, a brand new house and they wanted stone just as like a water table,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of it would be siding, like how would we start that? So I guess.
I
we would-
personally
Yeah.
would grab a piece of lumber
Uh-huh,
and find where I want that bottom to hang over. And
Gotcha.
I put that piece of 2x and I
Like-
just ram set it there, there,
Gotcha.
start my course, and at the end of the day, pop that up.
like pretty much tap con it to the
yeah,
foundation about
tap con it to the
3/4 of
foundation.
an inch past.
If you're not intruding on any kind of waterproofing, with those tap cons.
Right.
And then you could take a little bit of mortar or self-leveler or something like that if you want to touch up where you just tap con those holes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
you could also, if you don't want to do that, if you are going to impede on some kind of waterproofing, you could run a string line, you can run a chalk line, any of those kinds of things that's going to give you that straight line as
Yeah.
a guide to go off of.
Yeah.
You could hold the string line off of it. This will sit on a tight string line. This will actually sit on a tight string line.
Gotcha.
If you hold it like a 1/4 of an inch off the wall or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Because
you
I'm
could.
just trying to imagine
do
how
that.
we would start it. How could we, I like the idea of tap conning a 2x4, You know, because being a siding guy, I know we have to hold starter strip down past the foundation, past the bottom plate for cosmetic and waterproofing purposes. So I was just trying to think, like, with the stones being different sizes, like, would we have to run the 4-inch stone as our starter stone?
You wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to. I would pick a spot. You could even split the difference with this. Even this can be halfway in the framing mold and halfway on the foundation.
Okay.
Even that
As
piece.
long as you have something to nail
Yeah.
into, I guess.
And then all you need is something to nail into, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And if you
All
don't
right.
like that, and say you're not doing the foundation and you need
Yes.
and you need a look,
Right.
you can picture frame it with trim so that it doesn't look like, hey, stone was on this house and then it stopped right where they hit the other kind of stone looking product, the cement, the foundation.
Right.
Right? How do you do that? You do whatever detail you like.
Right.
I would personally probably do trim because one, it's not going to cost me $1 million. It goes up quick, and now I can use that trim as my starter strip.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, I can use. I'll hold everything off of it, maybe an eighth of an inch.
Yeah.
But if that trim is sitting on top of this and this,
Doesn't matter.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's what I would do.
Cool.
Even on just a piece of 3.5 inch, and then I would make it kind of uniform around the house. And if it goes around the house and it's going with the grade, then I'd lop it off at that angle and start crawling up the wall.
Yup, to grade. Yup.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys are probably, I would imagine you're gonna probably have some kind of, we talked earlier in the show about the builder
Yeah.
builder show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That you're gonna probably have something like this.
Yeah, we're gonna
display.
do a wall of it on display, I believe.
Yeah. For sure. We were thinking about taking the wall itself, the whole wall.
I got some.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. Yeah, we're super excited. We want to, unveil it, I guess, for
Yeah.
lack of better terms, at the home show.
Yeah, you'll be probably the only one doing it, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a trendsetter, man. People
Yeah.
will be following.
What's funny is you're going to run out of space and time. You're going to be taking stones off
Uh-huh.
because you're going to be going so fast that you're
Right.
going to have
Yeah.
to take the stones
Yeah.
off when you're at the home show. Ask me how I know.
Because
Yeah.
you've been there
Yeah, I've
before.
done that once
right.
or twice.
I don't mind.
You're like, Dom, you have to slow down.
That's right.
You're going too fast.
Right. Right. Cool, man.
But it's that
Good
easy,
stuff.
that's why you're.
It's that easy. That's why I'm
Exactly.
moving.
Well, and then people can see how hard it is to tear it off, too.
Yeah.
It's not just going to fall off,
Right.
So, double-edged sword, or, 1-2 punch there. So, we're at an hour and 12 minutes, man. So, do you have more that you want to,
much more.
we can definitely bring
We'll
them
give
back.
away all the secrets, man.
Yeah.
You gotta make it somewhat.
Yeah, we'll
secret.
we'll put a sill up.
Okay.
Real quick. Just to kind of have a concluding thought to get me off. I had an impact. Anyone seen my impact?
Underneath your cement board there.
Perfect. Good eye.
That's why I'm not a good carpenter, because I always put my tools down and then I forget where I.
Well, this one doesn't have a good place
it
to
turns
hang it.
into like a 2-hour project. It should have been like 20 minutes.
So here's a sill. It's got a right side up and an upside down. It's got a little bit of a angle to it. I think that's somewhere between 13 and 15 degrees,
Yep.
Nice.
right? So it goes
To shed
does have-
water.
Yes, but again, we're not terribly worried about
Right.
it. It's more of a cosmetic detail for us. But also, yeah, we don't want water pooling, even if it is pulling against us. We don't want water pooling anywhere.
No.
So this is not something that you have to pre-drill. It's not something that you have to countersink. What I have here is a couple of exterior grade trim screws. I keep 3.5 or 4 inches in the truck. Takes a T15, right? And this goes right up. If you want to, so I come 4 inches in from either side. If I'm doing this by myself, I'll just get the screw started inside the stone. Actually, I want to maybe show that. So yeah, so it's a fluted trim screw, exterior grade trim screw, and it kind of does its own pre-drilling for you. So we'll put this any old where you like, and you just run it. So if those screws are highly visible in a high visibility area, you can take some caulk. I think I brought some today. Well, I'm not going to waste any more time with that. But yeah, you can take some caulk. We have a Master Seal, BASF makes a textured granulated caulk. They've got 3 colors that match our 4 color offerings. Actually, one caulk works for the aluminum gray, works for our Phantom Shadow and our Morning Aspen. You can take it. You can take a little bit of the dust off of your miter saw, or you could shave. Take a couple of shavings off your stone, and you can putty that up. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world to have that. This is a very structurally sound just with the 2 screws.
Wow, amazing. You did an excellent job, man.
Perfect. We could talk about fake
I
fracks
can
all day.
tell you love this stuff. You're obsessed with.
A little
That's
bit.
awesome, man.
A little bit.
It's a great product, and I can see that you're very passionate about it, and you stand behind it, and which convinces me more of why we should be using it. Because you did such a great demonstration, and I'm in love with it, and I love the installation. Is I don't want to say it's simple, but it's easy enough for us to learn it quickly, to be able to get it out on the streets and start promoting it and just, you know, and spreading the word to people on just how much I love it, you know, and you did such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. This stuff's awesome, man. I can't wait to get this out there.
Yeah, me too.
Be able to really
for
offer
sure.
this
So
stuff
the
to
home
people
shows
now.
where we're really going to try to take it over the top, and like John was saying, you know, we're hopefully can be the trendsetters, and hopefully we can, you know, as much as you guys had helped us, hopefully we can help you just as
I
much.
have a feeling that's going to happen.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and we're really trying to, because you guys have done so much for us, Mark, John, and you guys have always been our biggest fans, and hopefully we can exchange the favor. You know what I mean, for you guys.
Get creative and get some kind of a little makeover thing going on, and maybe we can,
Yeah.
We talk about that.
Right,
The
right.
guys that evolve,
You know,
maybe
and with the
throw a box or two
landscaping,
in there
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and the landscaping end of things, so we can do it, you know, with the construction aspect of things that we do, and also with our landscaping. So that's what I'm really excited about. And then I have another hardscaper that I'm real good friends with that's actually going to partner up with us at the home show over on the Horizon Lawns section where we're going to set up over there.
Okay.
And I think he's going to be a huge asset as far as, you know, promoting this product and also using it, because he does phenomenal outdoor living space. Like, the guy's the best. Like, he's already booked till next year. Like, he's just that good. So once I get this in his hands, that could be a game changer for everybody.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah,
man.
for sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, anyhow, man, it's been a wonderful episode,
I know,
man.
right? Time flew by.
It did. I'm totally exhausted. It's been a long ass day. Like, I like on my 3rd wind because I've been so excited for
Well,
this.
you had a
Yeah.
couple Red Bulls, so you were,
Yeah, but they don't really
Five, I
work
think.
after 10, man. They
Yeah.
stop working.
Yeah, when
he
at
was
10:30
teaching. He
this
was
morning, I think I had mentioned that the Red Bulls aren't working
Yeah.
anymore, man.
Yeah.
But
What episode number was it?
65, man.
65. Man.
Yeah.
That's some good
That's
stuff.
impressive.
yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you
it's
for
a lot
having
of
us,
fun,
man.
man.
Check
It's
us
a lot
out
of
at the
fun.
home show. We'll be going live 3 to 4 times a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about this. If you want to come up, I don't know how far away you're traveling from, but May 7th through the 9th.
I'm at the
May 9th to
facility.
the
I'm
11th.
in Winchester, so yeah, it's not.
If you want
I
to
don't-
sneak
it's not-
up,
you're not breaking a sweat getting up here.
right on. So if you want to come up and do some demos, and we'll go live again and maybe touch on some things that you couldn't go over tonight,
Yep,
or
I
maybe
got texturing details we never got around to, hiding some of those, what do we do with the cut edge, all that stuff. We can cover that on the next go.
awesome,
Yeah,
man.
perfect, man.
Yep. Thank you
Perfect.
so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. This was a little bit longer than normal, but it kind of flew by. It was very
Yeah,
educational. And we still
absolutely.
didn't even cover everything that we wanted to cover.
Right.
Make sure if you guys have not liked the page yet, make sure you hop on the Facebook page, give that a like, give that a share. Hop on Evolved Stones. They got all their social media, Instagram, Facebook. Do you guys have YouTube channels or anything like that yet?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.
YouTube videos.
The website is linked on our description, so if you guys have any kind of technical questions or anything about the details that he hasn't covered, you can get all that stuff on there. Thank you once again, everyone,
Yes.
for consistently tuning in and following us. We appreciate you. Next week, Ty, you're going to be live from Wind the Storm
Yeah.
down in Louisiana.
Louisiana, yeah.
So that'll be an interesting one. We'll be zooming him in from down there.
Yeah.
He's got a big roofing conference that he's going to.
Yes.
So please, everyone, tune in next week at 7, and thank you once again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yep, thank you guys.